Has anyone ever tried to kill you? How'd it go? Happened when I was a kid. Two boys in the neighborhood wonder what would happen if they hung someone and they chose me to hang. I am fuzzy on the details other than I was swinging when my dad saw what was happening and cut me down. I only remember being lifted off the ground and then in my dad's arms. My ex-husband was choking me and he wasn't going to let go. I always say horror movies saved my life, because in that moment I remembered my comments about people getting choked. Why do they struggle to the very end? Why not relax and pretend you're dead so the killer lets go and thinks it's over? So I did that. I relaxed and looked off. He freaked out and let go. I left 2 days later and we were divorced 2 months after that. He's a piece of shit and I hope he's dead. Kid came to school with a gun in his backpack and a list of names. Kid was one of my friends, not super close friend, but my name was first on the list. He was caught roaming the school looking for me. I had been taken out of school a few days early for the holiday to visit my grandparents and hadn't told my friends. As far as I know, it was swept under the rug. Never saw the kid again, only heard about it from my mother and then later a school counselor I was required to talk to for a while. Never found any news story and reports about it either. This was early 90s. I was stabbed by an idiot when I refused to give him my wallet. Still here. Yes, a serial killer by the name of Dale Hausner. I was out walking at night when he pulled up on me. I ran into an orange grove before he was able to shoot, and that night he killed a young woman walking to the apartment complex that I lived in. It still doesn't seem real to me, and it could have been me instead of her, and in a way regret that it wasn't me. She was also the last of his victims. Yes, when I was about 19 my mom's ex-boyfriend broke down the front door while we were in the kitchen. I got in front of him, we started fighting, and him being 2.5 times my size got me against a wall and started trying to strangle me to death. So I put my thumbs in his eyes and scratched with everything I had, and now he's partially blind for life. I win, fuckface. Oh, and then he got cancer, LMAO. I was the victim of a drive-by shooting. I got hit in my right hand, and in my back. The bullet that hit my back clipped the left side of my spinal cord. I am now a quadriplegic. Life isn't too bad though. I'm currently in college, receiving SDI and Medicare. I live in California so weed is legal and my fam doesn't do too bad of a job caring for me. It could be worse. Edit. Thank you for the positive reinforcement, it is much appreciated. When I was like 15 a friend loaded a gun and pointed it at me. I talked him down. 10 years later he shoots his roommate in the head. My older sister was a drug addict and generally nuts in the worst way. When I was maybe 8 or 9, I was in the car with her when she started to have a freak out. She became suicidal, saying she would just kill us both, and swerved into oncoming traffic. The other cars managed to avoid us until she hit the median, and then the cops came out. She managed to lie her way out of any medical intervention, said she had lost control of the car, and we went on our merry way with a tow truck. Later, she said if I ever told anyone, she'd kill me for real. I never did tell until I was an adult in therapy. Had someone cut my brake lines, felt the pedal go to the floor when I put it in drive. Crimped it and wasn't even late for work, lol. My mum pushed me down the stairs when I was 8. She also left me in a wave pool when I was 3 and couldn't swim. She's a psychopath. Yeah, my grandpa tried to run me over few times. I told that to my mom and she told me how he did the same thing to her. He died last year. No one misses this shithead. Edit. Some people asked me why, and the reason is that my mom I were not born with penis. Edit 2. Not just because of grandpa, I suffer from severe CPTSD and depression. My family normalized abuse, so seeing so many upvotes and comments mentioning how abusive they were to me. Confirmation like that from this many people says a lot to me. Thank you. I've been shot at. I wasn't the target but I was downrange. It was scary but I was fine. 15 minutes later, they were driving away fast. I didn't expect them to return. I also got stabbed. I was able to block it with my elbow and grab his arm and control it. He was like a 20-year-old addict. I'm a 36-year-old construction worker. He panicked and ran off. I had to spend 4 days in a hospital getting for medicine to combat the infection. I'm fine now. This happened 3 months ago and it still hurts, but I'm fine. 1978 or so. Swimming in shallow area of a very large football field-sized community pool. I was about 6 years old at the time. My sister's friend asked me if I wanted to learn how to go underwater. I said yes. She told me to take a deep breath and then shoved me underwater and sat on me, wrapping her legs around me. I could not get away. Somehow my mother, who was sitting on the surrounding grass half paying attention, figured out what was happening. She charged over and threw the girl off me. Not sure what would have happened had she not come for me. Thanks, Mom. Fuck you, Meredith. I have too. The first time, in primary school, a friend and I were watching a movie when his older special needs brother decided that I had laughed at him, and he tried to choke me to death. Just as I was blacking out, I flailed a kick in his groin and he flinched enough that I got free. Then his mom stepped in. The second time, a girlfriend tried to cook me to death in a car while I was asleep. She confessed to it later when she was drunk. She failed. My boyfriend at the time tried to strangle me. I don't know what stopped him, but that night I fled and went into hiding. I got a restraining order and never saw him again. I hope he is dead or soon. My biological father. He shoved a metal yogurt lid down my throat when I was a toddler. Untreated mental illness is no joke. He was a violent, delusional alcoholic. Got jumped by 2 drunk dudes when I was walking. I fought like a badger, and they took off, but when it was all said and done, I was worse for the wear. 6 stab wounds, 4 broken ribs, 2 missing molars, 3 broken knuckles, a cracked orbital socket, and a broken nose. Healed up as well as I could, but now I absolutely have a zero-tolerance policy for anyone wanting to fuck around. My ex-stepfather tried to choke me to death when I was like 12. I was terrified and also at peace at the same time. The only reason he stopped is my baby brother started crying and he realized if I was dead he'd have to be the one to take care of his son. Either that or he realized he wouldn't be able to see his son if he was in jail for murder. But joke's on him. He's in jail now and his son doesn't talk to him. I'd say it went in my favor considering I'm still alive. I'll say though, it definitely caused a lot of trauma, lol. My ex tried to strangle me to death. When I started to lose consciousness, I had a burst of adrenaline, got my right arm free, and slammed my fist into his temple as hard as I could. It stunned him long enough for me to be able to push him off of me, jump up and grab my bag with my keys, get out of the house and into my car and leave. I was about 14 years old out with some friends and we got invited to a friend's house where her parents were throwing a party. One of her mom's friends pressured me into eating 5 codeine pills saying it would help me open up because I was too shy. I pretended to eat them then went home. They called me a bummer or something. I ate them before I went to sleep out of curiosity and woke up in the hospital a couple days later. My lips went blue and I stopped breathing. No one would say who that person was and I never saw them again. What a fucked up thing to do to a 14-year-old. My ex-husband did meth and was abusive. The day I last saw him was the day I gave him an ultimatum. Either quit meth or leave. He didn't want either, so he got a machete and told me he was going to kill me. What he didn't know is that I called the police and they came in with him next to me with the machete. It wasn't until later I understood how that could have been my last day on earth, because when DV victims try to leave, that's when they usually end up dead. That was in 2017. Yes. I was strangled by a serial killer but survived. He went to jail. It happened in 1982 in Boulder, Colorado. Ex-wife poisoned me during a multi-year divorce. Judge made note of it in the final judgment but no criminal charges. She didn't do so well with the splitting of custody and property, however. judge didn't like her gaming the system. Dude picked me up by the neck and said he was going to throw me off the 6th floor balcony we were standing on. His friends convinced him that going to jail for murdering your drug dealer would be a shitty way to spend spring break. So, fine. It went fine. I got jumped by an Asian gang because I was wearing the wrong color. They could have shot me but didn't. Very long story, but a guy attempted to break into my truck. I caught him, and he pulled a knife on me and stabbed me once in the face and once in the hand. I was able to wrestle the knife off him, hit him enough times to subdue him and hold him down until police were called. I've always regretted not killing him that night, because he went on to do some shitty stuff and victimize some other people. I felt like I could have stopped that and been well within my rights. He passed a few years ago from an OD. After several hours of drinking in a club watching some USA '94 World Cup matches, a dickhead in the car park started beating his girlfriend in his car. I helped pull her out and he tried to drive away. Car park was jammed. I got a brick through his window and he tried but failed to run me over. He eventually got penned in and I got him out of the car. We kicked 7 shades of shite out of him. I was almost abducted when I was 12. I laid in a ditch while the guy stood at the edge, shining his flashlight into the woods on the other side of the ditch. I could see the beam of light above me. Thank God he never looked down. He tried to strangle me when I threatened to reveal he was cheating. I was able to overpower him and throw him off of me. Haven't spoke much to my father since then. Well, it did not work, because I am still here, but when I was 5 months old, the woman who had given birth to me threw me a burning barrel of trash can before there was paid for trash pickup and left me there in the middle of a northern Minnesota winter. According to the woman who found me, I was out there for about 3 days. What kept me alive was the heat from the rotting garbage around me. I had a wonderful childhood. On a winding country road in Kentucky, a very large, old car was driving the opposite way. They waited until the last split second and very intentionally swerved at me. I somehow reacted with lightning speed and drove down into the ditch to the right. It happened so fast. That was about 10 years ago and I still think about how unlikely it was that I avoided a really bad wreck. Was about to voluntarily fall off my window on the 14th floor. My dog came and kicked a ball towards me, indicating he wanted to play fetch. Had to get down and play with him. Nah, but cancer did and I fucking nuked it LMAO. My parents, when I came out, they locked me in my room for 2 days with no food or water, forgetting that I'm diabetic and I would have died if my brother hadn't sneaked in to give me food. I was driving just north of Indianapolis years ago. I changed lanes and despite being well ahead of the guy behind me, he'd felt I cut him off. So he rushed up beside me and flipped me off. So I blew him a kiss. He then pulled out a gun and just before he fired it in my direction, he realized the car in front of him had slowed considerably and he had to hit his brakes or hit it. He then got behind me and fired once in my direction, but didn't hit my car. So I brake checked him. The roads were slightly icy and he slipped and slid around a bit, then went into the ditch. My identical twin hogged all the nutrients while we were in utero TTTS, but I lived to post about it on Reddit. Haha, who's laughing now? Yes, my ex strangled me but was unsuccessful in killing me. Still here. Got jumped and choked on the bathroom floor when I was 13-14 in a ballet studio. I came to and was like, well, I'm alive and no one seems to be worried, so I didn't tell anybody for like 5 years. Had a friend who got a little too high and drunk and pointed his brother's shotgun to my chest and told me he should pull the trigger. I don't know how I was able to remain calm, but I told him to get the gun off of me and I left immediately. Broken bones, severe concussion, rape, left to die in an alleyway. Luckily my guy friend felt something was off with me not responding to text. I normally respond immediately, so he located me and nursed me back to health. My cat, so far she has not succeeded,